that I am the California distributor for, the vertical access design is really just blows the socks off everybody else. Put it this way, for the $3 a watt California rebate, they're one of two that made the cut. It catches wind from any direction. Does not make noise. We just got through. I've had one on Santa Cruz Pier for almost a year now, and getting through the coastal commission's bird strike survey. You know, if we can just get them to slam the hammer, that could free up a lot of things. But they're eco-friendly, so to speak, to the animals, and they're aesthetically pleasing. It's not your telephone pole with an airplane propeller in your backyard going all day long. The two that we put on the ferry going from San Francisco to Alcatraz is quite a funny story. When the maiden voyage going over there, it was a 20-30 minute ride to get out there and flip them on, and everybody, all these tourists from all over the world sitting on that boat, and not one of them, well, not all of them, but the majority of them just looking at those things. Then on the way back, you watch this. Hit the brake on it, it stopped. They all turned to the coastline. 2 minutes later, flip it on. So it is something that, you know, it is, they do kind of give a hypnotic, serene feeling to them. And they, back to your questions, as far as wind goes, wind is the most efficient, renewable energy resource out there, if you have good wind. Don't have good wind, you're going to have an expensive lawnmower. You know, and that's what I tell people. So, and that's another reason my sales go so long, is because I insist that they get an anemometer and we get accurate wind readings for at least 2 months. Yes, sir.
I don't know.
Battery banks. Okay, there's basically with any, whether it's solar, wind, hydro, you have grid tie or you have battery backup, or just totally off grid. With those systems, all your house draw comes off your batteries, and your energy generation source is charging the batteries. Batteries.
Has that technology improved?
It has, but the biggest problem with that is the cost of good batteries. Okay, it's extreme. I mean, the ones I have on the truck, I got 12 of them. They're $1,000 a piece. The little square box on the front of the trailer is $8 grand. But I mean, it's top shelf stuff.
It sounds like an opportunity for co-op.
But the whole key to it is, I kill those batteries. I mean, generally speaking, you don't want to drain a battery system down more than 40%, because it shortens the battery life cycle. So then, instead of the batteries lasting 20 years, you're only every 10 years. You know, and you go, what? Another $3,000 for batteries? So you know, it's wiser to spend the extra money at the get-go, so it'll last. And the last part that I'd like to say about that: if you go off-grid, that 30% rebate from the federal government's gone, and they're all gone. There's nothing. To get any incentive programs, you must be on grid. San Bernardino County is great right now. Their permit fees is a one-time $50 wind use tax. And it's kind of a sales point that I use. I tell people, I say, you start seeing these things pop up, don't think that's going to be free forever. You'll be grandfathered in, because it's going to be like the water department. You know, they see a way to make a buck, they're going to charge you for it. Yeah.
I'm sure you're even more aware than I am that PG&E's, the state residences again. I have a minimum threshold under which I get charged the regular price for electricity, which is about enough to run my well pump. Then they double the price to the next threshold and triple it to the next threshold. And quadruple it. And if I were, you know, if I were to keep my well pump on and never turn any lights on in the house, and so I could keep my bill down to around $175 a month. Generally runs around $600 a month right now. Yep. If you put in wind or alternative energy, yeah, I want your card actually. If you put in alternative energy, you get away from that escalatory.
Okay. I get where you're going with this, and let me answer it this way. In the past 4 months, I've had to take this many courses, 3 from PG&E, 1 from LEED, 1 from the other one, just to keep up with the way they're changing the laws. Yesterday I got an email. It's called the new net metering laws mandated by the Department of Energy, going to the Public Utilities Commission, falling down to the California Public Utilities Commission. It's 385 pages long. It's some of the most boring reading you're ever going to do.
Well,
what it says yet, I don't know. I haven't gone through it.
I went to PG&E's website to find out what is my threshold and why is it there, and is there any, I mean, there's 37 pages of fine print. You can't find it. You're not going to find it. Anything that will help you.
No, that's
it takes a while. One of the first things, when my son came out here to help, one of the first things I had him do was to go, when they reinstated the wind incentive programs, I said, okay, here's the wind incentive book, and here's this small wind incentive book, and how many pages long was each one?
Oh, I don't know, I stopped counting.
Right? And I told him, I said, I want you to read every page, and if you think it even might be important, highlight it, and I'll go back and read them later. You know, so there, it's involved. The power companies, how should I put it? They're a dinosaur that's dying, they know it, and they ain't gonna go down easy.
This is a historic community.
Correct.
How are you going to overcome the mentality of some of the history types that don't want any changes at all, visually or otherwise?
All through history. I mean, I can drive down the road, how many windmills do we see? Granted, they're different types.
Wiggly jig thing that you've got over here. In the yard, in the backyards, and on top of rooftops here, and some person says, hey, it takes away from the historic integrity of the community. It looks like hell.
Well, okay, answer that with, in 20 years of doing construction, I was down in Miami doing Miami Beach. I know all about hysterical societies is what we used to call them. And one of my jobs at one point was to be liaison between the developers to them. One of the first things I did was I had the Historical Society implement guidelines of what you can do. Not what you can't do, not what you want to stop. But, okay, if you ever give me a list of paint colors I can use. You know, don't tell me I can't paint it pink. Tell me what colors I can paint it. So, you know, to be more proactive instead of reactive. And again, the market will get more. This new product is designed specifically for the home, business, and light to medium industry. They make a 1, a 4, and a 10 kW unit. They're in the windy areas. It's a great opportunity. Yes, Phil.
When you're saying 1, 4, 10 kW.
Okay.
What's the average house?
4 kW, your average house. That's why they make a 4 instead of a 5. Across America, that's the average consumption for an American home is a 4 kW usage consumption. Why they made a 1? I got no idea. Maybe the mother-in-law's quarters. You don't want around her. I'm like, this one's useless. Why did you decide to make that? And the 10 kW is for your extreme homes, businesses, industry. And if you've seen the turbine I have, they just get proportionately bigger. The largest one I worked on is a 4 kW, and you know, the blades are 16 feet long and go halfway around it. There's a real pain in the butt to get the new ones back on it. But it's the technology's there, and even solar's getting better too. Yes, ma'am.
So, if you were going to put up a wind turbine for 4 kW, what does something like that normally run just for that financially?
A 4 kW unit, Kyle, you're the one who deals with numbers.
Without the battery backup.
27,720.
Okay.
How much?
4 kW unit, 27,720 for a system package.
Right.
28,000.
Ready to go.
Ready
Right.
Without battery. Without battery.
Right. But now those are hard costs on it. Like I say, if you're grid tied right off the bat, you take 30% off from the federal government. Right now in the state of California, it's actually $2 a watt. or I mean $2.50 per watt rebate from PG&E. There's a sliding scale.
So you get 30% off and then 2%?
There's that 2/3. I did a bid for this one guy. He wanted 2 of them for his 2 hilltop homes over there in Hollister. It started out at like 96 grand because we had to make a road. At the time with all the incentives, it was down to $30,000. You had $1,800 a month in electric bills. If you do the math on it, the system pays for itself in 5 years. So.
And what kind of maintenance is on it? Sorry about
They
that.
do. It's a yearly maintenance issue on them, and what that is basically somebody's got to get up there and visually inspect, make sure your bolts are tight, clean the blades. If they're washed and waxed, it's going to work more efficient. It's not like solar where you got to hose, clean the panels more often, but basically it's just a check. The lifespan on them, expected lifespan is, I think, 20 years. And when I first started with them, I asked them, I said, well, now, in 20 years, just like Mission Impossible, it's just going to, it's not there anymore, you got to find a new one? And they're like, no. That's, at that time period is when you should plan on a total overhaul. Replace all the bearings in the thing. Check the brushes on the commutators inside the generator part of the turbine. And then, as far as installation costs on those, we devised a little thing. I was going to use the computer, but I'm not comfortable with it. I'm nervous enough. My 2 fingers hit that plastic box. An average home, an easy average home in California, we figured it out, could be give or take from $7,000 to $10,000, depending on the size of a lift or crane you need to get it to where it's going to be at, equipment rentals. But then, it's, if you're in a roller on a hilltop, they can go up real quick. Or if you got a 60-story building in the Embarcadero Center, you got to fly them in with a helicopter. That's real expensive. Let's see. Okay, one of the things that I look around this community and think to myself, it's a small, tight-knit, close-together community, and with the available renewable energy resources around here, why couldn't we design a co-op? And instead of people, if everybody got solar or wind, whatever was best for their individual thing, and we made it part of a co-op, we could be equal to these, what they call these PPAs, that are getting the money back from PG&E. It's like I tell people, if you think you're going to put as many solar panels on your roof and make a buck off of it, number one, you're spending dollars to make pennies, and number two, if you really think you're going to see a check from PG&E for $30 a month every month, you need to put down that pipe. But with a co-op thing, I think it's, I don't know if it's been done, but why not? I mean, it makes sense to me. If you combine everything, especially with the wind resources, all the homes here have good roof space, put solar on them, and then the businesses and outer residents, I should say, with the hilltops, put wind in there, and I could see this town becoming the first town to be 100% no greenhouse effects alternative energy, and provide extra back into the grid for Silicon Valley, San Francisco.
To say that Gareth has been very generous with the community of San Juan particularly. He donated the truck, like I said, to the theater, with the school, and other things like that. And do you have a criteria, like we have some events coming up and we can...
I have a calendar, first come, first serve. Local events around here is part of the good neighbor policy. I'm not going to charge. I'm not going to take that thing up to San Francisco without getting $500 for fuel anymore. I just can't do it. So, yeah, it's there. It's for the community, and I mean, it was made as a marketing tool. Granted, an expensive one that they don't really like, but in time, it creates people's attention. It stops people in their tracks. And it's there for the use, and it's better to have it out there in the public than sitting underneath the trees getting dirty. The state architect was a real doozy.
Oh, yeah. To honor you with our bag.
Reusable, renewable.
There you go.